Hey everybody, welcome to the Flipside. I'm Sam.
I'm JT.
And this is our top 5 tile placement games. We also did a bottom 5 over on the Dice Tower. That was our numbers 10 through 6. This right here is a continuation of that list. Right here on the Flipside, we're going to give you our top 5 tile placement games. Special thanks to our sponsors, Game Toppers. We do have a playmat right here from Game Toppers that we are going on. This is the Lost Jungle Playmat from Vincent Dutrait's.
And if you watch this right away, I think their Kickstarter is closing. The Pledge Manager is closing shortly.
Oh, really?
For this last Kickstarter, because I just ordered my 2 mats, or had to pick my 2 mats like a couple of days ago.
That's cool. Yeah.
Jump on there and take a look.
They have
Maybe you can get in there
great
still.
products. Go check them out. And they're super... they're filled with character and integrity. They will take care of you. They're great people. So go check that out and get your pledge in before it closes. We share our weight.
Yep.
Not our physical weight.
I'm down a little bit. How's that?
The weight of the games on our list. So from all 10 games, if you haven't watched the Dice Tower one, my average weight for all 10 games was a 2.12. And for these 5, it would be lower than that.
Really?
Yes.
Mine's a 2.55, but for these 5, oh man, no, it would be higher than that. It would be right at 3 probably. Maybe just a hair above 3.
Wow.
Just for these 5.
That's super high. My lowest was on last list, and that was a 1.68. My highest is going to be on this list. That's going to 2.95.
My lowest doesn't matter. It was on last list. No, I'm just kidding. My lowest on this list is 2.2.
Yeah.
And then my next lowest on this list is 2.95.
Uh-huh.
So
I know what that one is.
They're climbing.
I know.
And my highest is 3.86.
Yep. We've had one crossover so far. We're not going to tell you what it was. You got to go back and watch that other one over on the Dice Tower. But we have had one crossover so far. Your prediction was that we will have 2.
Yep, and one you said you didn't have.
I said, yeah, that was one that I said. I think we're probably going to have another crossover. So I think your prediction will be true. At the very least, we might have one more, but I don't think so, because I think these on my top 5 are just too low to be considered worthy of your top 5.
That is not true. I love all games, any weight.
I don't know.
I do.
Okay.
I just love some more. It's like your kids, so you gotta love some more.
Wow. That is not true. Don't listen, that's bad advice. My number 5 is, I think, the lowest complexity weighted Uwe Rosenberg game.
All right, I'm listening.
1.85. This is called Tangram City. Tangram City. This is one of his newer things, and this is a super light game for Rosenberg. Mr. Rosenberg usually adds barbells to his games so that they are weighty enough for his enjoyment. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
He's caught quite a few light games, actually.
Yeah, well...
Somebody should do the math and see what his average is.
We'll see. I'm not going to do it.
It's probably
somebody else can do that.
2.7.
One of you guys can do that.
There you go.
Or gals. Doesn't matter. Tangram City is a very cool tile placement game. You have all of these weird shaped, well, they're tangrams. Tangram shaped tiles that you're going to be trying to...
Is that the name of the shape?
Yeah, they're called tangrams. Okay. That's why it's called Tangram City.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I thought they were called tanagrams. I kept saying tanagram. Tanagram. Like an idiot. Tanagram. No, they're not tanagrams.
No, they're definitely not that.
They're tangrams.
Okay.
Anyway, you have all of these different tangram shapes, and you're trying to make your city fit into, I can't remember how wide it is. I can't remember how many squares it is, but there's a certain number of squares that it's wide and tall. And you're trying to fit your tiles into this city, and you're constrained. But on top of that, you're also trying to balance your industrial parts of the city with your natural parts of the city.
Yep.
And you're going to, if you can do a good job in that balancing act, you're going to score extra points for that at the end of the game. You also score extra points if you completely fill out your player board. It's basically a flip and everybody kind of like a bingo type thing, but
Sure.
you only have part of the information. You don't have all of the cards flipped over. And some players, for example, one card will be flipped over in the middle. Everybody can see that one. And then the 3 other cards are going to be flipped over
Face down.
face down,
Yep.
but only some of the players will be able to look at some of those cards. So you'll have some information, but not all of them. And I think that's a really cool tension builder because you think this is going to be a great spot for this, especially, you know,
Especially with what you know
yeah, with
you
what
have
you know
coming
you
up.
have, right? But you don't know what everybody else has.
Yeah.
So I just really enjoy that mechanism. It's a really light game though, but it's a great little thinky puzzle.
Yep.
And I just really enjoyed it. So that's Tangram City, my number 5.
Very nice. Yeah, it's very tight, and you got to make them all fit.
Yep, you do. You got to
Make
make
them
it.
all fit. So, but yes, nice. All right, my number 5 I've talked about on other videos, which kind of breaks my rule, but it's enough tile placement for me that I wanted to put it on here.
Break it the law.
And that is Quadropolis from Days of Wonder. I really like
Dude, he loves this
Quadropolis.
game.
I know I kind of champion it. I don't know.
This
I
is Bang
talk
the Dice
about
game
it a
for
lot.
you.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what this is.
But I like Quadropolis a lot. You're using these architects that have numbers, and you're putting them out here on a shared, drafting location, and you put it here, and if it's a 4, then you get the 4th tile in. So, But then you also have to place that 4th tile in on a place on your board that has a 4 on it. So there's kind of a double meaning to each of those things, and you have different districts within your little city that you're trying to score separately. It's just a really cool game. It's really cool tile drafting game, and every time you draft a tile, you might get extra people, or you might get some more energy to run your city. But yeah, I just really like this game.
Yeah. Days of Wonder is a great company too.
Yeah. So, but that's my number 5, Quadropolis. Everybody should own or play this game.
I've played it. I do not own it, but you own it.
Yep.
So
There you go. Played. I said
good
own or
enough.
played. You passed.
I pass. All right, my number 4 is, I believe, going to be our second crossover, but I am saying that it is going to be a crossover, and this one is from Stonemaier Games. It's called Apiary. And this is where you play Space Bees. And it does have tile placement. It's going to be on his list.
I'm very
That's
quiet.
why he's being so quiet.
Just kidding.
He's trying to save it.
My number 4 is also Apiary.
I knew it!
Yeah, direct crossover. Look
I
at
didn't know it was
that.
going to be a direct crossover.
Yep.
I thought it probably might be higher on your list.
Yep.
But this is a great little game. And this is a game that I didn't think I was going to enjoy because I usually don't like Stonemaier's games as much as other people do. It's not that I dislike them.
Sure.
I'm just not
There's
bonkers
multiple
over 'em.
designers in there, right?
Sure. But usually most companies have like a...
Gotcha.
They have
motif
like
or
yeah,
way
they have a
present it.
style
Sure.
of game that they
Yep.
usually put out, and Stonemaier usually tends to have heavier games come out.
But I like a lot of Stonemaier stuff too. I
This
think
is
most
my
of their stuff
heaviest
really
game,
solid.
2.95 on the list, and but it's so fun. It's
If
so
you haven't
fun.
played it, you're in there. You are drafting tiles to build out your space bee colony. You start out with a little tiny one that has very limited resources and your special ability, but you're adding in farm tiles and I don't know, they're not called recruit tiles, but you're adding in these green and red and blue tiles. Some of them are instant things to build across this. And when you place a tile down, you may get a bonus off of what's underneath it.
Yep.
You're also getting these honey tiles or these golden tiles that are end game scoring stuff. But you really are trying to build this out, and you're trying to fill out every block because you get points at the end of the game. And you can increase that with these 4 space blocks as well that can increase the size, and each of those gets you points. So really that is the basis. You're collecting resources in multiple ways.
One of the things that I liked about the tile placement in this one, though, is that it was the tile placement and the tiles that you choose is what allows you to have more resources later on in the game. That's one of the things that I liked about it. So it really made the tile placement an integral part of the game because you can't grow in your resource storage until you grow the size of your base.
Your hive, yeah.
I really did like that aspect of it. I also liked the whole aspect of how your worker bees, because it does have a worker placement thing. It ages, and then you put them into retirement at some point, and it allows you to do other things. I enjoyed that aspect of it as well. I did not expect to like this game. JT taught it to me when we were up in Calgary, and he taught it to me. He taught it to a couple of people up there, actually on a live stream. I just didn't expect to like it, but I really did. I think it's a great little fun game, and it's got a little real kooky theme to it that works, and they kind of really leaned into it. I liked it. So that's my number 4 and his number 4.
My number 4, and if you're watching this like right after we put it out, the expansion just came out, or is just coming out for this. So it adds more tiles, it adds more ships, it adds variability to those 4x4 things that you add. It adds different placement spots on them so that they're asymmetric. It adds some other different things. So I'm looking forward to that.
I never was really good at it, but I also like the fact that they added in the dances.
Yep.
That's actually a real thing, that the bees will make a little dance for the queen. That's a real thing in hives, I guess. I didn't know that. That's something I learned. I like it when games can teach you stuff.
Yeah, the only bee I've ever seen dance is the one that stung me and couldn't get off of his stinger. So, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I've never seen one dance before.
All right, my number 3 is, and this is one of those ones where I really had to kind of hold my tongue just right and squint my eye just a little bit to make sure that this was tile placement.
So when you put the main board down at the beginning of the game, is that being considered a tile?
Negative.
Okay.
That's not it at all. But when you take, it has a very Azul feel.
Okay.
It's called harmonies, though. Harmonies, you're going to be taking a group of objects, let's call them tiles.
Sure, tiles.
And you're going to be placing them onto your player board in certain configurations in order to build out a biome that you want to take one of your little animal cubes and place it in there. And the more animals from that card that you place into your player board, the more points it's going to score for you after you get that pattern placed on your board. I really think it's a great little game. It has received a lot of negative press because people were just like, it's meh.
That's where I'm at with it.
But I disagree.
Sure. I can understand why people like it, though, on the other side of that.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, I would play it anytime. If anybody put it on the table and said, I would play it.
Yeah. It's just not going to be on your top.
It's just not going to be something that I would bring out to the table. Sure. But I would definitely play it. It's a very fun little game.
Yes.
And it's very quick.
Yep, and it has, each player board has 2 sides to it, so you can use the water tiles in different ways. You're trying to make islands on one side, and you're trying to make a river with your water tiles on the other, and that's a neat little twist to throw in there. I think the one part of the game that you can either put in or leave out that I don't think really necessarily needs to be part of it are the spirit cards. That you get at the start of the game.
Your asymmetric piece?
Yeah, I think you could leave that out. I really like them, but I think you could leave that out. It doesn't really do a lot with the game, but it does give you kind of an avenue to go for right off the bat, which I like. I know other people haven't liked it, so that's why I say you can kind of leave it or keep it, whichever one, but I really enjoy this game. That's my number 3, Harmonies from Libellude.
Very nice. Now my next 3, Apiario was a 2.95.
Yeah.
Right. So this one's not higher than that one. My next one is another one that had to hit this list, even though it hit one of our previous lists in the past couple of weeks.
Breaking the law, breaking the law.
Well, you've been gone, so that adds a little bit of space and time between the videos. So
yeah, there you go.
But this one is, my number 3 is Suburbia. Suburbia is definitely a tile placement game. You're going to stop doing that eventually.
Ugly game.
You're going to get used to it eventually. Yeah. But it's ugly-ish. It's an ugly-ish game. But in this game, you are building a cool little city.
Sure.
And this kind of was the OG of a lot of these different city building games. Even, you could see a lot of that in even Mad King Ludwig or in many of these ones that we're playing now. But you're placing and trying to arrange your city to what makes sense. You don't want your residential districts, your little suburb next to the airport. You don't want your industrial zones. You want those next to the waste facilities or whatever else. You want all of those things to make sense. Yep. You're increasing population. But the problem with increasing population is it also increases your upkeep, so you're balancing that. But it really is about drafting these tiles and creating the perfect city, like LA.
Yeah. I just wish they would come out with a prettier
version. I'd love a pretty version. Absolutely. There's a couple very expensive versions out there.
I enjoy this concept.
Yes.
I love city building games. It's just so monochromatic.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just so ugly. I just don't like it.
Agreed. But my number 3 is still a great city tile placement game.
Yep.
That's Suburbia.
Cool. My number 2 is one that I thought would be on your list, but I don't think it's going to be.
No.
You taught it to me. And then it was right behind me when I was demoing a bunch of games for the art project being demoed. So I got to see it played a lot. I bought my own copy at Gen Con. This is called Aqua.
Nice.
Biodiversity in the Oceans. And this is a Venture to Trade artwork game. So that's 2. Out of these 2 lists, that's 2.
It's a beautiful game.
Super nice looking game.
A lot of colors, though.
Yes.
It gets a little busy.
A lot of colors. It does get pretty busy, but it doesn't get so busy that it becomes overwhelming. And I think part of that is because Vincent is such a great artist. But I could see how people might think it was too busy, but they're crazy. Anyway, I really enjoy this game. Much like Acropolis, this has a very 3D nature to it. You're going to be not just placing things on a flat surface. You're going to be building out your reef system, and then on top of that, you're going to be placing small animal tiles. But then on top of those small animal tiles in different shapes, you're going to be putting larger animal tiles on top of that. And that's one of the cool things that I liked about it. It wasn't just regular tile placement. It had a 3D nature to it. I really enjoyed that a lot. It also has a truckload of ways to score the game, which sounds overwhelming, but it really isn't, because you only choose 6 at a time for the game. And you can use the different sets that they have that they recommend be used together, or you can just randomly choose whatever you want to do. But that's one of the things that I really enjoyed as well. It looks great. It plays really easily, and it scores really easily as well, because it's very procedural. So it's pretty fast on the scoring aspect of it too. So that's my number 2, Aqua.
Nice.
Biodiversity in the Oceans.
I like this game. I think it sits behind both Cascadia and Acropolis for me. For one, if I'm going to teach one of those games, I would rather teach, not that it's a hard teach, it's not a hard teach, but the type of people that I'm teaching those to, I can do just as much with Cascadia or Acropolis easier.
I think Aqua is easier to understand than Cascadia is.
Except for the scoring portion. I don't know.
It depends.
But that's fine. But it really is a really nice game.
Right.
I just think it sits behind those 2 for me.
Sure.
Right on. My number 2 is where we diverge.
Shocking.
So we're going to go to 2 cameras, 2 videos, this half and this half at this point in time. My number 2, if you break it all down with all of the fantastic mechanisms that are in this game, it really is all about tile placement. And that is where you're going. And that is building a zoo in Ark Nova. In Ark Nova, you have a board, and you're trying to fill it with enclosures, and eventually trying to get your creatures into those enclosures so that they will score. Obviously, a lot of people know about the action cards that you have, and how that the longer they wait, the stronger they are, and that kind of stuff is really cool.
Yep.
But you are building this zoo out, and you're placing, your little pavilions and your little snack stands and, your reptile house. And you're placing all of these things. And your zoo looks really cool when you're done and as you're going along. And it is a really nice, puzzle. It just got a lot of it's a long, big game. But I really do like what you're doing tile-wise in this game. So,
yeah, Ark Nova just feels like work to me. Mm-hmm. It's... and
Good
it's
kind
not,
of work.
and it's not that particular game. It's just that once a game gets to a certain complexity level for me, I feel like I'm working, and I don't feel like I'm playing a game anymore. But it's a good design, and I understand why people like it. It's just not for me. Sure. That's the main reason. But I played it once. But
that's what makes us a good couple. I didn't say that. I'm joking.
You definitely did. Awkward. My number one is another one where you really have to. It is absolutely a tile placement game.
Well, don't preface it then.
It is absolutely a tile placement game, but the tiles are super ornate.
Okay.
And they're 3-dimensional.
Okay.
And there's a new version of the game out called
Checkers
Foundations of Metropolis. This one's called Foundations of Rome.
I did not think of this as a tile placement game.
This is absolutely a tile placement game. Okay. And the fact that Foundations of Metropolis exists now as a
placing tiles.
Lower... Yeah, it's just you're placing tiles on the game. It's
funny.
basically
I did
the
not
same
think
game.
of this game whatsoever.
But Foundations of Rome, yes, I understand. It's overproduction at its best. And I love it. Yep. I love this kind of game because why does a simple game need to be underproduced?
Sure.
Why?
Yeah.
There's no reason for that. For people that want an underproduced game, the company has heard your cries and came out with Foundations of
I think it's pretty cool they did that, too.
Absolutely.
It's really cool they did that.
It's really cool. But I really enjoy Foundations of Rome. The pieces are freaking amazing. The gameplay is so simple and yet so tight and so, don't take that card. I want that card. Don't you take it. Don't you take it. But I need it to get cheaper. I need it to get cheaper. Don't take it yet. It's that kind of feeling. And it also has that idea of, well, that card doesn't help me at all. But it's really going to help JT.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go ahead and take it.
Yep, absolutely.
So there's a lot of that going on, but it's such a quick little game, and it's such a flowing game.
And it's not a super mean game in that whole...
That's the meanest that it gets.
Right, you can do that. But at the same time, there's other cards out there that are way better off for you sometimes. Yes. So... It's not like your whole time is hate drafting.
No, you're not. But you can.
You can.
You can hate draft, so that's why I mentioned it. Yep. But I usually don't like games that heavily promote that.
Yep.
I mean, some of my favorite games, you must do it.
Yeah.
But this one is one where you can choose to or not to. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. But I really enjoy this game. Such a great production. Such a great game. We actually sent... The last church game day that we had, a lady came and she said, do you have Foundations of Rome? We were like, no, we didn't bring that one today.
Oh, yeah.
And she was
sent
like,
somebody to pick it up.
And so we sent Daphne home to go pick it up and bring it back because people were asking to play it. It's a great game. My number one tile placement game right now, Foundations of Rome.
Very nice. Fantastic game. I didn't even think of it as tile. It's absolutely tile placement. There's no doubt. But, all right, my number one, the best game on all of these lists.
You always get to say that.
I know.
I'm going to switch it up just so that I can say that now.
I'll still say it even if I go first. But it's also the heaviest game, I believe, on all these lists, which is
Yep.
fine. It's not that big a deal. I'm not a heavy game snob as much as he thinks I
Yes,
am.
you
I just
are.
love them. I really
He does.
like the thinkiness. My number one is A Feast for Odin. Viking game. See, Viking game. He's got to say Viking game. In this game,
It's a Viking Euro game.
It's a very
It's a
Viking
Viking-themed Euro game.
and leaving all the worker placement stuff aside because it is a worker placement game.
Yep.
All you're doing in this game is collecting tiles of all different various shapes, sizes, colors, and you're trying to fill a grid. And in filling that grid, you have multiple placement rules where you can't have the same kind of good next to the same kind of good. You got to have a food piece in between. And each of those food tiles, flips over to a good tile, which makes, if you do upgrades, you're losing food or you're losing whatever. There's just a lot of things that happens with your tiles in this game. And it really is all about placing tiles on this grid, placing tiles on these little islands and little buildings that you can get. You're trying to fill them all in with all different kinds of goods and everything else.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're having to keep some of your tiles so you can feed your Vikings at the end of each round.
Yep.
And you even have to keep those. You can't just feed your Vikings 7 pieces of wheat. They have to have a rounded diet. So Mead. Yep. But anyways, it's very tile placement. Very cool game. Very deep. I love this game.
This is Eurogamers going, we want a Viking game too.
That's right.
And so they made
We just
Feast for
wanted
Odin.
one of the best Viking games.
I don't know about that. It's one of the best Viking Euro games. How's that?
It might be the best Viking. I have to do some research. It might be the best Viking Euro game. Who knows?
There you go. Viking Euro game. Throw that other word in there and I'll agree with you.
There you go.
All right, well, that is our top 5 tile placement games. You can go watch our bottom 5 over on the Dice Tower if you have not yet already done so. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know your list, what you think. What mistakes did we make? What do you agree with us on? All those kinds of things. We'd love to hear from you, and we will respond. We promise.
We try for sure. I love seeing all the different lists. There's so many different games. Every time I pull one of these up and I'm looking at the comments, everybody has a list, and I'm like, everybody's list, there's 3 or 4 games, and I'm like, oh, I haven't played those yet. I got to play those. So
That's right.
keep them going. I love them.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate you. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
We'll see you later.